Look, when I say Jesus is Greek, the teaching, I mean, of course, not some mythical person. I mean, it's of the mystery cults of Egypt. The mystery cult that developed in Greece as a consequence of Egyptian influence. People like Pythagoras have spent, I don't know, 20 years in an Egyptian temple when Egypt opened up to the world, became open for such a visit. The essence of the mystery cult is not of Greece originally. It's Egypt. It's not Babylon. It's not Persian. It's not Canaanite. It's Egypt. Gnosticism is of Egypt. You know, those gods of Egypt were representative of values the story of the gods is Gnostic. It's about the God who gets, well, he's a God of the people. He's destroyed by his enemy and is resurrected. The Pharaoh, the body is embalmed because of his spirit going on through the night of death, and his spirit comes again, is resurrected, you see. That's the symbology of it, but it's symbolic. The Christ, the Anointed One, preserved, eternal, is the mummified body of the Pharaoh standing up, stood up, on end, not laid down. He's embalmed. He's been anointed with preservative, if you like, spirit, that will in some sense keep the body intact. Thousands of years later you can look at the, well, I wouldn't, but you know, the remains are still there if it's been preserved properly. It speaks of the eternal God, the God that will be resurrected, the God that cares for the people. It's the mystery cult, which was applied to every culture, Persian included. You know, what's Constantine battling? A Persian religion in his own army, Mithraism. So he makes himself Solar Invictus, head of it, in other words, the sun cult. But it's a mystery cult. And it's all mixed up with Persian cults of fire and so on. But Christianity is a mystery cult. You can't understand it without being Gnostic. It is what the Persian cult is. Well, I mean, it is what the mystery cult is. It's one of the cults, except it's applied to Judaism by the Greeks. They were very good at it. They did it for every country. And that influence of one country on another is just what the Persians had done from ancient times. It's them that had seeded the Old Testament, seeded the Hebrew fiction, nurtured it when the Hebrew was in Babylon, I don't know, 600 and something BC. Was it? I think it was then anyway. Yeah. That's when your scripture was written, not by Moses back in the historistic dark ages. You know, the pre-available record of anything. You know, Hezekiah miraculously finds a copy of the law in the temple. You mean he didn't have a copy of the law? The temple might have been lost, but there's no way the law would have been lost. It would have been saved if they'd had it. It didn't exist. He wrote it. Had it written, I mean. Highly likely. Everything points to that. And even if he didn't, the substance of what he took was from a past that was majorly influenced by the dominant power. Persia, Babylon. I mean, it even gives reference to that. Abraham is from Ur of the Chaldees. Chaldees is in Persia. The three wise men that come to, visit Jesus at the birth. They're magi. They're magicians, for goodness sake, in modern terms. They're from Persia. They're the magi of Persia. I've seen this star in the east. We're astrologers. We've looked at the stars and we realized this is the time of the change from one era to another. Was it from Pisces to Pisces from, is it Taurus? No, it's not Taurus this time. It's Pisces from the goat, isn't it? He's the lamb that was slain, the end of one era for another. It's all symbolic. He's the fisherman, the age of the fish. The acrostic fish symbol. His disciples are fishermen, even some of them. You have to be Gnostic to track what's going on. Do you have ears to hear? Well, the church didn't have. It was not surprising. The church was for the state. That's its priority. When it's overtaken by the state especially. It's not just influence then, it's dominated by, kings made themselves head of the state, but they made themselves head of the religion too. Or they put the religion in great subjection to themselves, as did Constantine. Solar Invictus. The Christian cult. And it is cult-like. Of course it's cult-like. It's only acceptable because it's your cult. Well, if you're Christian. What are the evils of a cult? Mind control. With a specific purpose. To control a population under some autocratic hierarchy or leader, so that the people would do things that are not unto life and life eternal and abundance, but unto the benefit of the hierarchy or even just the emperor. Just the top, just the head man of the cult. But specifically, Constantine's purpose too. I want a united empire. Under me. One empire, united. Me, its emperor. One God to ensure that. Christianity looks right, but my army is Mithraic, not Christian. It's a different application of the mystery cult, and it's the religion, the cult of my enemy. I make myself head of it. I am Solar Invictus. See, sun god there. And I'm a child of God, Christian. And I'm head of it. I'm the emperor. That should do it nicely. You have to be Gnostic, because the mystery cult is Gnosticism. You go through an experience in the temple, you come out converted, transformed by this incredible ritualistic experience that stuns and amazes you. Supposedly of the truth of things, hopefully. Well, then as it was, but anyway, it was enough to capture the minds of, well, every culture of the Mediterranean and far beyond. Different varieties on a common theme, from ancient Egypt, from ancient North Africa, Green Sahara. Wow. I mean, Pharaoh is you know, the religion is the sun, Ra. I think in some cultures the name even survives Ra as the name for God. We still have it, traces in our religion, don't we? He's the light. Light of the world. That, you know, enlightenment is light. It doesn't mean daylight, but it's symbolized by the sun. The body doesn't do well without sunlight, and plants die quickly without sunlight. If the plants die, so do we. We live on food from plants and animals and so on. The sun is symbolic of something incredibly important in life. And that's where these so-called primitive or early religions developed from. Well, it's sort of reasonable in a way. But you can see how the Gnostic view develops. Now, I don't mean that there's a good and a bad God, but as religion evolves, it does mean that. It's pointing out what's good and what's bad, what's unto life and what's unto death. Choose life. Choose you this day whom you will love, whom you will serve, whom you will obey if the state gets hold of it, and it does. So we see a corruption of good intent, if you like, to suit power elites and so on. But it's still Gnostic. Everything's Gnostic. The literalism may suit the power elite. I want obedience in this world and to me. I wish to cream off any surplus I can get my hands on. We're coming to Marx, aren't we? You know, is the worker being cheated of his labour? Yeah, that's what slavery is about, mate. Slavery is the epitome of this. Obedient zombies who are terrorized into doing much work and receiving little reward. We know what corruption in the world can be about. Well, I've said it all. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. How do you mean you said it all, Marshall? I mean that man adds religion, literalism, for nefarious purposes. But God adds enlightenment, which is not just understanding and wisdom. It's life. And he sustains it with love. In short, he is the Jesus story, our Heavenly Father. That's what God adds to what man could do. For all of us. For those who have ears to hear. They have the Gnostic Christians, appallingly persecuted for about 400, 500 years by the Christian Church, the literalist church of the state. What was part of their belief? There were two gods. There was the bad god, the demiurge, the enemy of the people, really. Yes, under guise of being, the fearful, frightening, all-conquering, genocidal, wipe out the whole world with a flood if necessary. It's only the plea of Moses, apparently, that says, look, you'll get a bad name if you wipe your people that have your name, if you wipe them out. And so he relents, gives them another set of laws. I think another set of laws. Proved to me that it was the same stuff written there. It says it was the same, but was it? I don't think so. If you look earlier, you can see a law that's written there that's not the same. This set of laws that we had, 10 Commandments, principles, were simplistic and negations. Don't steal, don't do this, don't do that, don't work on the Sabbath, don't have other gods. They're for a very unspiritual people. And of course Paul realizes this. I'm not under law, I'm under grace, love. I do a thing because I love God. I love what is right, not scared to death of a fearful God, and obey accordingly. This is, if you like, Pauline contribution. And it's pre-Jesus. It's so that you can hear. You say to yourself, well, we got John the Baptist, but we never hear of him, and yet he's prepared the way for Jesus. No. It's Paul that's prepared the way for Jesus. He doesn't know anything about Jesus, nothing about the Jesus story, only the Christ. Jesus is used hardly at all and probably inserted, who knows? It's the Christ. He knows nothing about the parables, the teaching, the story. Only the Christ. The Anointed One. Anointed, and he means with spirit from on high. And it's this spirit of love. 1 Corinthians 13. I don't mean Paul is to be dismissed, therefore. But you know, there's never been a greater than John, and the least in the kingdom of heaven's greater than him. Because Paul is not converted. How could he be? He hasn't got the knowledge of Jesus yet. But he's on track. He's preparing the way. My church is really based on Paul. And what they had of Paul was not enough, so they added pastoral letters, how to behave in church. Just what the state required. A blueprint of obedience. You see, it's a wicked God, a demiurge, that's warring spiritually with the true God of truth and light and life and love, life eternal. It's Gnostic. You're not Gnostic, you don't understand Jesus, you don't have ears to hear. You're crucifying by mistake, of course, because you're a child. You didn't know what you were doing. Forgive them, he says, for they know not what they do. You think this is some wonderful declaration of his humility. He's not elevating himself. He's in the presence of God. So he talks to God. He's echoing God's view because he's sanctified, being sanctified. Do we all have to be crucified? No, but in some sense you being here is a crucifixion. You think it's life, says Jesus to the young ruler, rich young ruler. If you would enter into life, you're dead, mate. You need to keep the commandments. But I do. Yes, but you don't have treasure in heaven, do you? You need the love of God within you. You need to know God, not just obey the commandments. Commandments get you into, if you like, the astral world. Even the causal, I don't know. It doesn't get you into heaven. If you would enter into life, you can go that way. But if you would have treasure in heaven, sell all you have, give to the poor, and follow me. I couldn't do it. That's just not on. I can't make that change. How hard it is for they that have wealth to enter into the kingdom. It doesn't say it's impossible, but it does say it's as hard as a camel to go through the eye of a needle. And he may have been referring to one of the gates where, you know, the camel had to unload in order to get him through the gate, but obviously looks difficult anyway. You poor? You should thank God for it. In fact, you should thank God for everything. It's an act of trust in an all-powerful God that loves you, that he's your dad. And you will find you abound in miracles by this practice. It's uncanny, it's extraordinary, it's magical, it's fantastic, it's miraculous. But most don't do this. Most can come simply by constantly thanking God for all that is obviously good. from our narrow point of view. But when you start to trust in such abundant goodness, you start to see how even the difficulties are blessings. Then you really find you're in the kingdom of heaven. And you can do all things. Say to this mountain, move, and it will obey you. I mean, you wouldn't want to go around moving mountains. It causes an awful lot of havoc, but you see what he means gnostically, don't you? Thank you, Heavenly Dad.